Well, I just watched or listened to these damn Melania tapes. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a scandal. So basically, for any of you that don't know, someone, I think, employee from CNN, I don't know why, I could be wrong on that. I think the female who Melania is talking to on the phone is a CNN person. I don't know why she would tell her this, even if they're supposed to be friends. Well, this woman leaked the conversation to make her look bad. And you got Anderson Cooper on there. Oh, it's so horrible. The Republicans, Trump, oh, blah, blah, blah. As usual. Same old, same old. And basically what she says in there is that, the situation at the border, and she talks about the gays, the people who bring children over there, people who pretend to be their parents, a lot of them go there with zero documentation. Um, you got some parents and children who come here to make more money, and they kind of feed the script, like we'll get killed by gays if we go back, so they try to get asylum. And this is true. This is just facts. That's just how it is. That happens. Some of them are legitimate, and the job of the court, the immigration court, is to figure out if it's legit. Look, my husband came here legally, paid for an American education, had a work visa, and nobody would hire him because he didn't have a green card or wasn't a citizen. So we had to apply for a green card and go through. We're still in the process, but he's got a green card, but we're still in the immigration process, and we had to do a lot to prove that he is here legally, that he is here with good intentions, and that he's working, that he's eligible, and that he will be an upstanding member of society, and that he's not a threat to the country. Now, anybody who's ever met my husband will know that the idea of any of that is just a joke. But how come when people come to the border and you have all kinds of different people, you do have gang members, you have drug traffickers, sexual traffickers, child sex traffickers, posing as families and posing as normal people, they have to figure out what is the case. And I was just listening to this, and, it's supposed to make her look bad, but I don't think it does, if anybody. Well, honestly, the way the news is now, they put out something about Trump, and they twist it to try to make it sound bad, and then the people that support Trump are going to be like, well, you're not telling the whole story. They'll look into it and be like, okay, it's just another nothing burger. It's just nothing. It's just a scandal that they're inventing to make them look bad. And then people who don't support Trump are not even going to look at the details. They're not going to look into anything. They're not even going to probably read or listen to the entire post or segment. They're just going to be like, there you go. See, I knew it. Trump is horrible. And so, but the thing about the border is, and she's talking about how she cares about the children. I'll try to link it below in the description box. But she's talking about how she cares about the children. She's expected by the people and the White House and everything to do Christmas parties and decorations. She said, who gives an F about Christmas or about the Christmas decorations, I think she said. And of course, that's supposed to be part of the scandal. Well, no, she's saying that she has more important stuff to do, more important stuff that she wants to do, and that she was trying to get the children at the border who are there with their real families reunited with their mothers. And nobody would run the story. And she's like, well, I could go to Fox, but I don't want to go to Fox. And I can see why, because if you think about it, you go on Fox, you speak the truth, you tell your side of the story, and the liberals and half of the country are going to just not watch it and say, oh, it's just Fox, so it's propaganda, it's just right-wing material, and then, or they're just going to take it and twist it some more. So I feel like she probably wants to go to another news source. If CNN airs a segment about Melania trying to reunite the children with their mothers, then a lot more people will be like, oh, wow, that's good, and they'll see the truth of it, and maybe be less biased, but that's not going to happen. See, I don't know, obviously, I'm sure she knows CNN. She said it's liberal media, they hate them, they're against them, so they're not gonna help them, not gonna air a story that, makes them look good, even if it's just the truth, just the facts of the matter. And it's just, basically everything she said there was the truth. It's not anything that people don't really know. And the thing about the border, if I have to hear children in cages one more time, first of all, there was a photo I saw. It's like a lot of people probably don't know this, but there's a photo of like children and there's grown-ups too, like teenagers and young adults, and like behind a fence-looking structure. So they're there. They are there as in the detention, and that was supposed to be an example of Trump putting children in cages. Well, I'm going to the gym, y'all. Um, yeah, and I'm like, and that picture was taken during the Obama administration, and some of the stuff Trump said about immigration was actually less extreme than what Obama said. It's really funny because it's just the whole thing is baloney. It's hypocrisy at its finest. But yeah. So what was I gonna say? So I had this thought. And I'm like, the idea that we shouldn't put people in detention, that we shouldn't put people through a process when they come into the country and make sure that they are not criminals. Just for the idea that we don't want to insinuate Mexicans could be criminals because that's racism, even though Mexican isn't a race. That's another thing. Does anybody know, is anybody watching this at all aware of the fact that the entirety of Latin America has a very similar history to the United States and Canada? You had native people, the Europeans came over, they settled, colonized, there were wars, they took over the area, made a new country, or made an extension of Portugal or Spain or France or England or whatever, and eventually gained their independence. I keep having to restart the video because my phone keeps giving me notifications. But yeah, so the entirety of Latin America has the same kind of history as we do. They brought over black slaves from Africa that they bought from Africans. There were, actual slaves. I don't even want to say indentured servants because there were a lot of actual slaves. And indentured servitude is slavery, really. It's just slavery with a different condition. That were white. There were black slave owners all over Latin America. There were, and then there was mostly European, but there was, Asian and Arab and all kinds of immigration. It was mostly European all over the Americas. So the idea that Mexican is a race, and therefore if you say that you want to make sure Mexican criminals don't get in, you're saying that Mexicans are criminals, it doesn't make sense. If you think about it, every kind of claim the left makes about race is just calling people racist. A lot of it's not even race. A lot of it's not even race. Go to a Latin American country and see. Go to anywhere in the Americas and you will see that it is either predominantly white and or predominantly black, depending on where you go, and various levels of mixing. And the only real difference is that people in Latin America seem to not know their history at all. They'll be straight up black as could be, white as could be, and they'll be like, oh, I'm not white, I'm Mexican, I just look black, but I'm actually Dominican. Honey, you white, you black, like, that's just what you are. Like, I'm not gonna go around saying, oh, I look white, but I'm American. Does anybody think that makes sense? It doesn't, because it's BS. But that's a side note. So they want to say that not wanting to let criminals in, not wanting to let sex traffickers, child sex traffickers. One of the main things that Trump has championed against is children sex trafficking over the border and the gangs breeding children in to literally sell them as slaves. That's literally slavery, guys. You want to talk about slavery from 200 years ago? Feel bad for people now that don't know nothing about it, don't have nothing to do with it. Feel bad for the children from Mexico and Haiti that are being trafficked into Florida, trafficked into California, and all over this country. And but no, that's racism, because anybody that's not white as snow cannot do what he wants, or else it's racism. And that's literally the point that we've come to in our country, that, you cannot criticize anybody who is not white because it's automatic racism. Maybe I'm criticizing their actions as a human being. Well, I use the term loosely if we're talking about children sex traffickers. I'm not going to feel very happy calling them human beings because they're not acting like one. So Melania is talking about this, and and the person she's talking to is like, yeah, blah blah blah, and like agreeing with her basically, and then later leaked the tapes to try to make her look bad. So I want anybody to try to go to India or China. I would even give North Korea as an example, but everybody knows they cray. But China, North Korea, Russia. Anywhere in the Middle East, probably, although you probably get affected by war quicker than you will by immigration, because they don't really have, some of those countries that are war torn right now don't have a lot of well functioning government and authorities. But yeah, go to China and see what they do. Most countries that you go and you try to sneak across the border, you're going straight to jail. Like, it's an automatic, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 year sentence. You know, even countries like India that are our allies, that are, you know, not considered radical or whatever, you're going straight to jail. And I'm not an expert in Indian law. I did read an article about someone who snuck in there once. I can't remember the sentence number, but I know that in places like India and China and Russia, probably most countries in the whole world that have the ability to secure their borders, if you sneak in, even if they know that you have no crime, not trying to do any crime, not trying to do anything bad, not trying to smuggle anything, you're going to jail. Like, and they're not going to sit here and try to figure out if you had honorable intentions, or maybe they'll know, and they're not going to care. They're not going to say, oh, well, you want to come here and work and have a better life. The Chinese think their country is great, and most of the Chinese and the Chinese government thinks that their country is good and full of opportunity. In many ways it is. And, you know, people go there all the time and make lots of money. Lots of foreigners go there and have a better life than they did in their home country, whether they're from Africa or even from Australia or the United States. And, you know, so, but you can't just go there, sneak in, and tell a sob story, and then be given asylum. You're not getting asylum. Like, nobody's being given asylum in China. They didn't even give asylum to, what's his name, Snowden, like the only guy that tried it. And, you know, it's just, and then people will probably say, but John, we shouldn't compare ourselves to others just because they do something more authoritarian doesn't mean we should do something authoritarian. Whether what we do is authoritarian or not is definitely a matter of opinion. However, you cannot say that we are this horrible racist country, we hate Mexicans, because of immigration policy that's meant to curb sexual trafficking, drug smuggling, gang movement, and then at the same time say we're the worst country on the planet, we're racist, we're horrible, systematic racism, blah, blah. If we were so anti-Mexican, anti-whatever, just this majority white country that hates everybody else, xenophobic, we wouldn't even have asylum system. We wouldn't have asylum system. We wouldn't have any kind of reasonable immigration laws. I wouldn't be able to marry my husband who's from China and, you know, even though he was here legally, or whether he was or not, allow him to stay here. And like looking at it, the threshold is not that high. You just gotta not be in poverty. And if you are in poverty and you want to sponsor your husband or wife, you have to have a co-sponsor, which just has to make like over, I don't know, 21 something thousand a year. So, and then, you know, have your mail, your documents, share documents, your credit cards, whatever. If you bought a car together, it's you can come here legally if you have honorable intentions, or even if you're not getting asylum, you just want to come here and have a better economic situation and a safer home. Even if you're not actually fleeing from gang violence or whatever. So, you know, and I think because I spent more than half my life studying foreign languages, spending my most time with other people from other countries, watching mostly media from other countries, I see through the bullshit a lot. I can see the parallels between our propaganda and propaganda in other countries. I can see why we say things that we say in the media, why they say things that they say in the media, for political reason. And, you know, and it's not even because I think that all other countries are shitty and our country's, by contrast, amazing. In some ways, compared to certain countries, that is true. Our country is doing a lot better in certain ways. But, I always get distracted by handsome guys. Yes, but, you know, you can see other countries' policies, their immigration policies, which are usually basically non-existent. Like, you cannot go to China and get citizenship in China. You cannot go to, you know, Iran and just become an Iranian, and even if you don't look at countries with governments that have done controversial things, I mean, even if you look at most of the world, India, you know, it's not a thing that you can just go there that easily, and they're going to put you in jail. So, you know, I just want people to stop with this children in cages shit. It's not cages. It's like holding cells. And, and when it shows like a bunch of people sitting there in the same cell, that's because they just got there. Like, okay, go in the cell, we make your file or whatever. And it's really obvious. It's not something that's hard to find out. Like, a simple Google search, scroll past CNN or whatever, look for actual documentation, actual video, actual evidence. It's not that difficult to understand. Even if you read propaganda media like CNN, you can occasionally find nuggets of real information. They'll casually mention, well, Obama put this into effect, and then just completely gloss over it and be like, but Trump, Orange Man bad. And it's like, wait a minute, wait. Did you just tell the truth a minute ago? Did you say something that wasn't just an opinion? Oh my Jesus, I am shocked. But, yeah, that's about it, guys. The Melania tapes it's a conversation. It's a real conversation. She's telling the truth. She's not saying anything that anybody doesn't know. They act like she's this battered woman who just has no power and she's just submissive. She's talking about wanting to help the children reunite with their mothers in the cases where, it's really their children and they're really, temporarily separated. And it's like you could go, the amount of lies that are believed. I mean, the debate was just a joke. I already did a video on the debates, but the debate was just a joke. Because they literally talked about dog whistles to racism, white supremacy. They talked about the good people on both sides, which is bullshit. If you don't know, he did not say there were good people on both sides. And if you heard him, the 2 seconds of him saying there were good people on both sides, that's not evidence. If you watch even 30 seconds, you'll see that he said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists and white nationalists, the neo-Nazis. They should be condemned outright. And he said it over and over and over, and then he's sick of saying it. And if someone comes up to me and says, which they've done, Black Lives Matter, say Black Lives Matter. No, I'm not going to sit here and just regurgitate a propaganda slogan for your benefit, to make you feel better, to make you feel like I'm less racist. You can think whatever the fuck you want about me. And if someone looks at me and says, oh, you need to condemn white supremacy. No, I don't, because the fact that I'm a normal-ass white person living my life, not doing nothing, is already the fact that I'm not condemning, or that I'm not supporting white supremacy. And don't you give me that shit about the fact that, well, he got hired at McDonald's one time and, they chose him because he was white. I've never been to a McDonald's and been served by a white person. I've never even been to a doctor's office and been served by a white person. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. The idea that white people are just given jobs, wait, come a little closer. Oh, you white? Oh, yeah, come on in. You're not, what's your last name? It's not Spanish, is it? Oh, okay, yeah, you good. Come on in, Mr. Smith. That's not a thing. They're gonna be like, oh, what's your name? Oh, Mr. Gonzalez? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We're actually not hiring. Like, that's not a thing. It's literally not a thing. The rare, and then somebody will point out, oh, but John, one time it actually happened, or my cousin's best friend's girlfriend's dog's dog walker got, fired for being not white. Okay, well, I want to see evidence, first of all. And second of all, even if that happened, okay, that sucks. My condolences. Go find a better job with a not racist employer. And if anybody gets to know, if anybody were to actually not hire somebody based on their race, they're stupid. Even people that may be harboring resentment towards other races would be stupid to even act on it, because your career and your entire life is going to be over, even if you didn't do anything, even if people just assume racism of you. Like, I had the nerve to tell my black coworker that she shouldn't call white people white crackers and that not all white people are racist. And then she went around telling everybody in my store that I was a racist. And she's like, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's gay, but he's still white. Bitch. Like, what? Okay, so I'm white, so that means I'm a racist. That's what you're saying, basically. And meanwhile, you tell white jokes all day long, make fun of customers' orders because they order pumpkin spice, or they order a white mocha non-fat. Or maybe the bitch likes pumpkin, or she wants to lose some weight with some non-fat milk. I mean, she look better than you, maybe you should try it. Sitting here talking about, oh, well, these white bitches drinking pumpkin spice. Don't be at work talking about white bitches. Okay? I'm not finna go to work and talk about... See, the thing is, this is our country. If I were to say the same thing I just said, white bitches with a different race, this video would probably be taken down. But, you can talk openly at work in front of customers. And, a lot of our customers are from England. You can tell they those people are nice, and they're kind of brainwashed by racial justice bullshit too. But they're sitting there looking all uncomfortable, like, like not knowing how to respond, feeling uncomfortable and insulted, but don't want to say anything. Like our tongues have been tied, our mouth has been zipped, we're not allowed to say anything, even when it's true, because criticizing someone who is a certain race is automatically racism. And, I'm so glad I thank God in a way for being gay, because if I wasn't gay, I might not really understand it, because I see, not only do I get treated rudely for being white, told I can't speak about issues because I'm white, I also get treated like I should be apologized to, or like people insinuate that they shouldn't speak to me about things because they're straight. Say whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I don't care if you're straight. I don't care if you like pans, if you bisexual. Open your mouth and say whatever the hell you want. If I don't like it, I can close my ears. And Melania Trump is allowed to say the truth about the border situation, talk about how she tried to help the kids. I don't know all the details. Hopefully she was able to do something. And, when the one news story, okay, think about it this way. The world has so many things happening. All kinds of things happen all the time, all over the world, all over the country. But when a news source only puts out one story, basically the same story over and over, the same message, the same idea, the same opinion, it's really just an opinion, and to believe that that is reality, I'm getting so passionate I'm like explaining it up in here, to believe that is reality, that, all the stuff that happens in the country every day, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever the hell happens, CNN puts out the same garbage every day with the same opinion. Isn't there another side of the story? Isn't there an array? I mean, especially if you're going into opinions. If you're going to be giving opinions, have an array of opinions. Don't just have, even if you're going into facts, which you should probably try doing, CNN, you can have a variety of facts. And, it's not alternative facts. I don't want anybody coming at me on that one. It's, this happened, this happened, this happened. Some people come across the border to have a better life. Some people come over with papers, a few. Some people come over with legitimate asylum claims. Some people come over to smuggle children for sex trafficking. Some people come over to sell drugs. All this shit happens. So pointing out one thing or the other is not a lie. It's just a different part of the story. It's one case, one case, one case. So you have a police officer that everybody loves and treats his community with love and respect and risks his life to protect them. And then you have a whole bunch like that, and you have a police officer who, who shoots somebody. Sometimes it's self-defense. A couple times he got too trigger happy and he should be gone to jail. But that does not mean that one bad case, that's what they do. They take the worst case scenario of all. Don't look, and sometimes it's not even the worst case scenario. They find the worst looking case. They say, okay, let's blow it up. That's all that exists. That's it. That's all it is. This is it. This is the entirety of human society, is racist cops, racist white people, overt discrimination. That doesn't really happen. And, and pathetic, victimized gay people that just cry at home and can't handle that people don't want to see them make out and grind on their boyfriend in public. That's all that exists, apparently, according to CNN. I'm getting off track here. I'm just annoyed because it's just bullshit. And, no, you know what? I'm going to save that story for another video tonight. I have another story to tell you guys. I'm going to post this tonight because I got to put the videos together. Lord Jesus. Okay, well, I will see you guys soon. Bye.